What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are looking at Devin Singletary, giving you guys his fantasy outlook for the 2020 season and going over all of the relevant factors and data to how we got our projections for him. But if you're looking for more videos like this one, we're actually doing over 100 of these over the course of the next month. So hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this. And if you're curious how we have all of these guys ranked, we actually have our rankings posted up on our website. You can create a free account. Just go to fantasyaddictionnetwork.com and you can create that today. But let's get right into the video. So reviewing Devin Singletary's rookie year. For those of you that had him, you're already very familiar with how this went, but I'll give you guys basically a short summary. Year started out, Frank Gore was the main running back, and pretty much immediately Devin Singletary goes down with a hamstring strain, misses 4 games, and comes back after that. Hamstrings can be a tricky injury to overcome in the middle of a season, so I know there's a lot of fear that he wasn't going to ever be able to hit his potential in 2019. Well, he's delivered as the season went on. He became more and more involved, and by the end of the season, he was pretty much a lead back. So we'll look at the box score here in just a second, but overall, pretty solid year for a rookie. 150 carries, 775 rushing yards, 29 receptions, 194 receiving yards, and only 4 total touchdowns. He ended up finishing as a 32nd running back with 147.9 fantasy points, but had 12.3 fantasy points per game, which was 28th. Now, again, as we kind of mentioned, he starts out the season 14.8, 11.7, solid running back 2 weeks, pretty good, and then gets hurt at the end of the game with going against New York, and then he's out for 4 weeks. Comes back against Miami, is barely used, gets 7 carries for 26 yards. Definitely still recovering from that injury, but then we start to see a little bit more of a peak. Plays Philadelphia, only gets 3 carries, but starts getting involved in the passing game. 4 receptions, 30 yards, and a touchdown. Against Washington, 95 yards, a touchdown, and 3 receptions of 45 yards. So you start seeing him get a little more involved in the passing game, and that's when his fantasy value starts to go up a little bit. He has 2 down weeks, 10 and 11, and then has 3 good, solid weeks in a row between weeks 12 and 14, and then tapers off a little bit towards the end of the year with that tough schedule running against some of the best run defenses in the NFL, Pittsburgh and New England. So kind of expected to see a little bit of a dip there with that schedule. And overall, like I said, pretty solid season for a rookie. So he had a lot of hype heading into 2020, and then Zach Moss comes to town, and now that hype train has pretty much come to a grinding halt. I think it's warranted to be worried about what Zach Moss is going to do to Devin Singletary's potential fantasy output. It's not like Devin Singletary was getting many of the goal line carries as is, and I think Zach Moss coming into town, a grinder running back, very similar to Frank Gore, but a lot younger and hopefully a lot more efficient for the Bills. I don't think we're going to really expect to see too much in the way of goal line work between Zach Moss and Josh Allen running the show near the red zone. So that's going to significantly limit Devin Singletary's upside. However, he does still have a huge edge in the passing game. That was what gave him so much fantasy value towards the end of the season last year. We're expecting him to be able to at least maintain that. So if he's able to at least come close to a 50-50 share in the carry game, but he's receiving the predominant amount of receptions, he could still be a very productive back. Some interesting things to remember or just to note about Devin Singletary. First of all, the Bills are a very heavy run team. They averaged 29.1 run plays per game, which was the 6th most in the NFL. A lot of that has to do with Josh Allen running the ball a lot, but you can expect that to continue to carry over. Even if Josh Allen throws the ball a little bit more, they still want to be a run-first team. That's by design, and I don't look for that to change much heading into 2020. Now, Devin Singletary had a really strong efficiency in his runs. First of all, he had 2 yards per carry, which takes out the breakaway runs of 10 yards or more. He had a 4.9 yards per carry, which is the 5th best in the NFL. But he also had 11 breakaway runs, which was 8th most, and a 7.3% breakaway run rate, which was 3rd most. So he was efficient whether he was making massive splash plays or even just on the plays where you're just designed to get the certain amount of yards that you need. He was efficient whenever he touched the ball. He just didn't see that many touches. He also had the 3rd highest juke rate in the league, but 42nd in terms of red zone touches. So right back to what we were just saying. Very efficient with his touches, very elusive, almost like a lesser version of what you see with like Alvin Kamara. But the difference between what you see with him and Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara, with the exception of 2019, is very demanding in terms of red zone touches. Alvin Kamara had been a touchdown monster for the first couple years of his career, and unless Devin Singletary can somehow jump to that range of receiving more passes in the red zone, receiving more touches in the red zone. If Zach Moss completely flames out or gets hurt, then Devin Singletary's upside could go up considerably. But as it stands right now, it's hard to imagine him seeing his touchdown volume go up too high. So right now, in terms of projected stats, we have him getting more carries and getting closer to that 50% split. So we have him getting about 924 rushing yards and 39 receptions for 275 yards. A pretty solid year. This could definitely go up. Again, if Zach Moss isn't very efficient and they end up using Devin Singletary closer to the usage that they were using him towards the end of the season, or if Josh Allen doesn't run the ball as much and they rely more on the running backs, that could also go up. And we right now have his total touchdowns jumping up to 6. That's the one that I would be very hesitant to push up too far right now. Pretty much either Zach Moss would need to get hurt or Josh Allen would need to stop hoarding the ball in the red zone for that touchdown count to go way up. So there's definitely some upside here with Devin Singletary. I don't think it's massive because I do think that Zach Moss is going to be heavily involved. They spent significant capital taking him in the 3rd round, and I don't see them not using a running back in the same way that they used Frank Gore last year with Zach Moss, who should arguably be far more efficient than Frank Gore was. This is a good offensive line. They want a running back that they can rely on to grind consistently. The way that Devin Singletary is built, it seems to me that the edict that the team is placing on him is that they don't anticipate that they could actually give him a workhorse workload, and we'll probably see another similar output in terms of what he did last year. Hopefully he can avoid the injury bug and actually give a full season. And you can definitely see, like I said, we definitely see this go up. If Zach Moss gets hurt and he becomes a workhorse, then he instantly becomes like a low-end running back 1. So we might revise his upside ranking to a 4 out of 5 for that reason alone. But with Josh Allen commanding so many carries in the red zone and Zach Moss commanding a lot of carries as well, it's hard to imagine Devin Singletary getting to his complete ceiling without a lot of things going his way. But that's pretty much it. He's kind of going at right where we have him valued right now. His ADP has dropped significantly since they've drafted Zach Moss, so you can typically get him around the 5th or 6th round, which if you're taking a lot of wide receivers or you take a tight end early, then this is the kind of guy you want to target because he does give you that upside, and he should still have a pretty decent floor considering how much he was involved in the pass game last year. So while I don't love him, I definitely am willing to take him about where he's going right now, just depending on roster construction, and I think he'll have a pretty good season. Definitely does carry some upside if the team structure changes as the season goes on. But anyway, that was our outlook for Devin Singletary. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to be doing, like I said, over 100 of these. So hit that like and subscribe button for more content like this, and we will see you guys in the next video.